Welcome back. Former US President Donald Trump has arrived in New York from his home in Florida. He will, of course, be appearing in court tomorrow after being indicted on over 30 charges. Let's get more from our New York correspondent, William Denselow. William, we know that the judge was yet to decide whether or not the media will be allowed inside to film that arraignment. Has that decision been released yet?
Yeah, we understand that there's been strong opposition to that from Donald Trump's team. And as you said, we're learning a little bit more information about what exactly this arraignment will look like on Tuesday afternoon here in New York. The hearing is expected for 2:15 local time. But of course, that is subject to change. Now, Donald Trump, as you rightly mentioned, has recently just arrived here at Trump Tower, just a couple of blocks from where I'm speaking to you from here in Midtown Manhattan. He's expected to be here overnight, and then he'll head to the court in Lower Manhattan. He's expected to face that arraignment, which means he's expected to have his mugshot taken. He's expected to be processed, meaning his fingerprints will need to be given as well. According to Donald Trump's legal team, he's not expected to be in handcuffs. Of course, there's plenty of speculation as to what kind of reception Donald Trump will receive and just how public all of this will be. Will Donald Trump choose to take one of the more public entrances into the courthouse and use this as an opportunity to really try and whip up even greater support from his base? Of course, it's already believed that Donald Trump's amassed more than $5 million in campaign funding for his presidential bid in the 48 hours after the indictment was announced on Thursday here in New York. Or perhaps Donald Trump will seek to make more of a private entrance into the court, avoid the media spotlight during the arraignment, and instead focus the attention on his public speech, which he's expected to give at Mar-a-Lago at his home in Florida on Tuesday evening.
William, we know that CNN and a number of other media outlets have asked the judge to unseal the Trump indictment early. Is there a precedent for that, and whether that's at all likelihood or even possible?
It's really down to the judge's discretion, but we understand that that has not been revealed. So the earliest we could find out what exactly these charges are on Tuesday afternoon during Donald Trump's arraignment. Of course, we heard from one of his lawyers, Joe Tacopina, speaking on CNN over the weekend, who said that the Trump team hadn't seen the indictment. He said that there would likely be a motion to dismiss the case, but he said that it was unlikely that that would be a proceeding on Tuesday. He said that he didn't want to show any kind of showmanship on Tuesday, and he said that Donald Trump's legal team will want to, as he put it, dissect the indictment, and he said that anything that can be challenged will be challenged. So a strong message there from Trump's defense team that they will likely be moving forward to try and dismiss the case, essentially have it thrown out, but they will not be moved on how exactly and when exactly they will choose to do that until they've seen the details of these charges that, of course, we believe are all around supposed to revolve around this alleged hush money paid to the porn star Stormy Daniels, a charge Donald Trump vehemently denies.
William, let's focus a little bit about the media attention for this case. Media outlets, mostly in the US but across the world, facing strong criticism on social media platforms for pretty much showing any footage related to Donald Trump, whether that's an aeroplane sitting on the tarmac for hours on end, or whether that's a convoy, or whether that's just exterior footage of Trump Towers with absolutely nothing happening until his arrival this afternoon. And of course, we saw masses of people gathered outside Trump Towers. We've seen a lot of attention for this on social media and across media outlets. Do you get the sense from Americans that they are frustrated with the amount of coverage anything related to Donald Trump receives in the media?
It's certainly an interesting point. It's important to add that this is totally unprecedented. So there is no real gauge about how the press, how people should be reacting to an instance like this. So, of course, it's what we've seen over the last few days is a number of people in the public when we've been based either outside the courts in Lower Manhattan over the last couple of weeks or outside Trump Tower. People very curious to what the media is doing and very curious to see what exactly the latest is. But when it comes to the attention garnered by Donald Trump, well, of course, there are real worries about how this could be a potential flashpoint and could further polarize a nation that's already so politically divided. As we mentioned a little earlier, we've seen the outpouring of financial support to Donald Trump's presidential campaign just in the few days after his indictment. That just shows how much of a lightning rod this indictment has been and how it's seen potentially as an effort to further galvanize Donald Trump's supporters, as he himself says he's the front runner for the Republicans to challenge the Democrats in the 2024 elections. And of course, we've seen a hugely divided landscape when it comes to US lawmakers. We've heard a number of Democrats say that the justice system should be allowed to do its part and that no one is above the law. We've also heard from a number of prominent Republicans saying that it's outrageous. Ted Cruz, a Republican from Texas, saying it's utter garbage, the decision to go forward with this indictment. And of course, we're expecting a rally of Donald Trump's supporters that will include Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene to be in attendance, and that's set to be held a couple of hours before Donald Trump's supposed appearance, so at about noon local time outside the courthouse on Tuesday, which of course will only further garner media scrutiny and attention.
William, before I let you go, a lot of people also asking whether that mugshot of Donald Trump will be released to the public. You mentioned it's an unprecedented occurrence. It's the first time a sitting or former US president will face criminal charges. So no doubt that question reverberating around the world. Has anyone answered it yet?
Nothing concrete, of course. It's very much been kept under wraps, the full details of this arraignment, and there are real concerns about leaks and things to that nature. Of course, we've heard from Donald Trump really in the minutes after the indictment was announced last Thursday. He came out on his Truth social media platform, and he essentially described the indictment going forward as political posturing. He said that it was an effort to interfere with the electoral process, and this was essentially an effort by the Democrats to try and smear his campaign. He's of course reiterated time and time again that this is a witch hunt. He says he never had an affair with the porn star Stormy Daniels, denies that there was any kind of illicit financial payments or hush money, of course, that this case will likely revolve around. So there are real concerns, it could be seen, from the legal system that any kind of leaks to the press, if there are mugshots that are released that could be used as further ammunition in Donald Trump's case, saying that it's politically motivated. So certainly those in charge of these proceedings in the court district in Lower Manhattan will be very, very careful about how the optics of this and how the case will be managed as we go forward. We already know that some of the courts and proceedings have been delayed or postponed on Tuesday so that they can essentially free up more room in the courts for the former president's visit, to try and somewhat avoid some of the hassle and some of the massive issues when it comes logistically to having a former president, the Secret Service and the world's media all descending on the court district here in New York.
Thank you so much for that very thorough update. That was our New York correspondent, William Denselow. Of course, that arraignment set to take place 2:15 New York time tomorrow afternoon. We're about 6 hours ahead of New York, so I'm sure in tomorrow night's news we'll bring you all the latest from New York. Still to come,